Audible is audio entertainment that entertains, educates, and inspires. For you, the listeners of the CreepGeeks Podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a 30-day free trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/CheapGeek. Again, that's audibletrial.com/CheapGeek for your free audiobook. Enjoy this with your free trial. 30 days of membership free, plus 2 free audiobooks that are yours forever. 1 credit a month after trial, good for any book regardless of price. Exclusive member savings. Get 30% off additional audiobooks. Easy exchanges. Don't love a book? Swap it for free anytime, seriously. Again, that's audibletrial.com/CheapGeek for your free audiobook today. So it begins again. Welcome to the CreepGeeks Podcast. This is episode number 170.
COVID-19, internet rumors, 5G and lions, Fenn treasure hunt 5th victim, and new Men in Black.
Yeah. So here we are again with the old CreepGeeks Podcast. Thank you very much for being here. Episode number 170. Got a lot of stuff to talk about, so we're going to get right to it. But first, yeah, you like that? Get right to it. Okay. So anyway, thank you very much for tuning in to the podcast. If you've listened to us before, we appreciate having you back. If it's your very first time listening, we appreciate having you here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've done 170 episodes so far, and this one I think is probably the best.
Really?
No. No, I'm just saying that. You know, you got to have a bright light in this sea of garbage that is 2020. But anyway, found some interesting things to talk about. And this podcast is about all sorts of weird and crazy stuff that we find to be interesting on the internets, sometimes with personal experiences and things like that. Mm-hmm. I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
And we're your hosts of the CreepGeeks Podcast.
Okay.
Yeah. So what is this podcast all about?
Well, CreepGeeks Podcast is an offbeat news podcast that takes a lighthearted approach to the paranormal, cryptid, strange, the silly, and trending tech topics circulating the web, broadcasting paranormal news and fun stories from our underground bunker in the mountains of western North Carolina.
That's right. And there's a couple different ways you can participate in the podcast. We actually have a phone number for you if you'd like to share an experience or something you'd like us to talk about. Toll free, of course.
That phone number is going to be 575-208-4025.
And if you would like to do like a little email action, you can go to our website, creepgeeks.com. We have a little spot that says contact. You click that and you fill it out and you send it to us and we read it.
Yeah.
Yep, works pretty good. We also have a Facebook page you can check out. It's look for CreepGeeks. You'll find it there and you can participate and join in all the fun. It's like memes and funny stories and good stories and stuff like that. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Lots of stuff in different ways that you can interact with us. And there you go. Ran out of steam already.
Really?
Anyway, well, yeah, it's kind of one of those things where, in case you haven't heard, I broke my neck a while ago, and sometimes it makes me a little winded.
Oh.
And tired. And you know what else I'm tired of?
What?
COVID-19.
That's true.
But we're not out of the woods yet, so we have to talk about that kind of thing, and we're going to get right into that in just a second. But anyway, I'm glad you're here.
Okay.
And as we like to start out with most of our podcasts, interesting random factoids.
Yeah.
This one's a little bit different because it's really not an interesting random factoid. It was a question that came from one of our listeners.
Cool.
And somebody I know who basically hit me up on Facebook Messenger was like, hey, man, I got a question. And I'll read it to you.
Okay.
But first, thanks, Brian C., for the awesome question.
Oh.
And he goes like this. Hey, I wanted to pick your brain about 5G frequencies, and if you have any knowledge of the damage it can do to our bodies. I've been reading that it has a similar frequency to radar, which I know can be extremely harmful to your body if exposed to it, and I'm wondering if all this scare about coronavirus is actually just a cover story for the world to create mass genocide and depopulation by using these frequencies to cause cancers and other health problems.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty loaded question. You know what I mean?
It is?
Yeah, and it kind of goes like this. The short answer is no.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. I have decided to not go deeply down this rabbit hole.
All right.
All right, because people have been saying 5G is bad for a while, and it kind of goes, it's something you can really spend some time on, but I have to do a couple disclaimers, okay? So radar is energy, right? And anytime you're exposed to energy, and anytime you're exposed to anything, really, it's the dose that makes the poison.
Okay.
So if you look at some of these radars that are available, like on military warships, and just in general, if you're right up next to them and you get radiated, that can cause problems, right? You know, cancers and things like that. And there's all sorts of microwave transmissions that come out of different radars, including the microwave you have at home. That's what they call a microwave. It used to be called a radar range back in the olden days. But anyway, it's the dose that makes the poison. And when it comes to like 5G and 1G, 2G, 3G, all that sort of thing, most of these frequencies will not kill you. But again, it's the dose that makes the poison. So if they're going to broadcast these frequencies, you know, low frequencies and high frequencies and things like that, over time, I'm sure it can cause some kind of problems.
You mean like continued exposure?
Yeah, because it's the dose that makes the poison.
Okay.
You know, if you feed a rat ketchup for a year and they die of cancer and have these big cancerous tumors, then you could say, well, you know what? Cancer, in this case, in these rats, was caused by ketchup.
Oh, you mean like Diet Dr. Pepper?
Yeah, you know, if you feed anything, you know, one thing, it's like anything over time with a repeated exposure will kill you. Do I think that 5G is dangerous? I don't think so. Not necessarily. You know, now there needs to be, I mean, I'm sure that if you look at like the exposure when it comes to, well, let's do this. Right now, there's not enough documented evidence to prove that 5G exposure, 4G exposure, any of that sort of thing is related to coronavirus, right? And will kill you.
Documented literature from reputable sources that has been fact-checked and third-party studied.
Now, when you look at some of the symptoms of coronavirus and then also some of the symptoms when it comes to exposure to radar, they are very similar. Because it's the same. I mean, it's like, okay, you know, if you get exposed to, you can have gastric upset when you're exposed to radiation and also coronavirus. You can have respiratory ailments when you're exposed to radiation and coronavirus. You see what I'm saying? So just because you can experience the same sort of set of symptoms doesn't mean that one is caused by the other. Because radiation causes all sorts of problems like hair loss and blisters and, you know, respiratory issues and gastric issues, all that sort of thing.
But you can have those same problems from
the flu
or cancer or a severe like anaphylactic allergy reaction or many other things.
Right. And if you're exposed to a high dose of 5G, you know, depending on the level of frequencies and how close you are and how much is transmitting at what intensity, you can experience issues as well. That's like if you parked yourself right next to a radar on a ship, like a military ship that's just rotating around, you can experience some of the same issues.
Okay.
So do I think that 5G and coronavirus are related? No. Again, I think it's the dose that makes the poison, and repeated exposure to these sort of things over time can cause issues. That's what I'm thinking so far. But it's definitely a rabbit hole that you can go down to. And if you want to peruse that at your leisure, go for it.
Okay.
Now, can a virus or something like that cause mass genocide? Well, we have had them in the past, like the Black Plague.
Yeah.
Spanish influenza, you know, all that sort of thing.
Plague.
Yeah, you know, when you kill off 10, 15, 100,000 people or so, I mean, would you call it a genocide? I don't know. It kind of depends. When you kill off millions of people because they were sick, can it have a population issue, as in depopulation? Well, anytime you reduce the population by, you know, a couple million, I mean.
So that G word I don't want to say anymore, but I would like to say there's a difference between that and mass depopulation.
Yeah.
Because mass depopulation, for the most part, and our general philosophical concept of it is less targeted, I should say.
Yeah.
You know, so, yeah, I don't want to fall down that rabbit hole, but sometimes
I don't either.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't necessarily think, no, I don't know. And we might find out in the future, you know, oh, hey, your cell phones have been causing all these issues with people, but I mean, who knows, really? But do I think it's some kind of engineered thing that, you know, 5G is secretly giving you symptoms of coronavirus and that, you know, we're being diagnosed now with because I don't necessarily think that's the case because, honestly, if you go to a place that doesn't even really have cell phone service, but you have reported cases of coronavirus that's being spread, then there you go. Your epidemiological research, which is basically the science of happenstance, if you will, doesn't really hold up, does it?
You mean like where we live?
Yeah, like we don't, there you go. It's a dose that makes a poison, right? We don't have any cell phone service right here. So if we get coronavirus here, we can't say it's caused by 5G. And, I don't know. As far as I know, you can be exposed to radiation and it's not contagious unless you're super radiated. But
oh, yeah.
I don't think it works that way. I'm not exactly sure, but, hey, I don't think we really have anything to worry about. And I did talk to him a little bit in great and agonizing detail when we chatted about this. And I thought, okay, I could make an entire episode out of this. And honestly, I just didn't want to. I was like, man, this is a lot,
You did bring it up in, like, basically one of our first news articles, though.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so.
But I don't want to spend an entire episode talking about it.
Yeah.
So, as we move out of our interesting random factoid, but at this point was a question, our first news article that we have is Coronavirus Hoax Claims 5G Sparked Wuhan Outbreak by Sucking Air from Lungs.
Okay, that is a bit of a stretch, though.
Yeah, well, it's also a stretch because it comes from the Daily Star, which is
yeah.
not necessarily the most reputable news source.
So reputable.
Over in Europe's. Not going to say where. Probably England.
But Wuhan does have 5G coverage, but there is absolutely no evidence that it is linked to coronavirus, and the conspiracy has been blasted online.
Yeah, and even the numbers it says, like the novel coronavirus named COVID-19 has killed more than 3,000 people across the globe since it was first transmitted in the Chinese city of Wuhan in December. It's a relatively old article because we all know that number is way larger now.
Yeah.
Okay, so what they were trying to say is like, and now here's where it gets a little crazy too. It's like, which do you believe? Was it spread by 5G or was it spread by people eating pangolins?
Oh my gosh.
Little animals.
When did they get brought in? I thought
they were kind of brought in from the very beginning, saying, people
bats.
eating exotic meats
is
what caused this issue. And I guess there's some sort of rule now that you can't eat exotic meats. But anyway, according to this article, there is no evidence whatsoever that 5G is linked to the coronavirus. And a post on Facebook, right, says Wuhan is where 5G was rolled out. And what if we are seeing in Wuhan sickness from exposure to excessive 5G radiation and weakened immune system? Yeah.
Okay.
Well, no. And it doesn't matter if Wuhan was the test city to have 5G rolled out, right? Because there are lots of other places that don't have cell phone service or have 5G service or any kind of service, for example, or for that fact, really. And so if there is no service, how would you get the coronavirus if it's created by 5G?
Then you shouldn't be able to.
Right. And so what they were saying is 5G absorbs oxygen, and that's really important to know,
Yeah.
because your oxygen molecules, the little electrons, with 5G, they start to oscillate.
And that's said by this well-being expert, Kate Shamirina, on Uckfield FM community radio, which is messed up because how does that lady have a full broadcast community radio program and she gets to shout absurdities like that?
Well, because people listening.
Okay.
Yeah, so 5G causes coronavirus because it's sucking the oxygen out of your lungs.
I don't think that's how that works.
No. And I like the quote. I want to laugh, but the fact that people believe this bull, like BS, is genuinely scary.
Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think there's a link between 5G and coronavirus.
But here's the problem. This clip about this has been seen over, and this is an old article, over 190,000 times since it was posted on February 27th.
Yep.
So that just shows just how quickly the fake news and the rumors and the weird theories
can spread garbage.
Yeah.
And when it spreads the garbage, people believe it, and they keep spreading the garbage, much like people saying, oh, yeah, this is some kind of engineered thing. And whether it is engineered or not, it's still a thing. We are in a pandemic. Stay inside. Do what you're supposed to do. And really the thing is to stay inside, stay away from people, and don't spread a contagion. And if you are a youngster out there going, well, I'm tough, I'm not in a demographic that it actually affects, well, you know what? Your stupid ass can carry it around for 14 days and affect other people.
Yeah. You selfish.
Be responsible. Turd. And, and I really am glad that they're arresting people that are doing stupid stuff like sneezing on produce, right? Coughing all over food and trying to put it on the internet for some kind of viral fame. And there's been 2 people arrested so far, kind of go off on a tangent there. And I think they've been charged with like terroristic acts.
Yeah,
or something.
it was.
And they should, because what if one of them,
threatening to use weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, what if you actually have coronavirus? Well, whether they knew it or not, right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they tested positive for it like 2 weeks later, and you coughed all over everything and made a bunch of people sick. I mean, hey, whether you believe it's real or not, just stay inside.
And don't do something harmful. Even if this wasn't a pandemic right now, you just coughed and released your bodily germs on $35,000 worth of groceries.
Yeah, your bodily germs.
Yeah, I mean...
if you came up and coughed on me in today's day and age, I'd probably sock you in the nose.
Yeah. And there's so many people who probably could have used that food. That makes me feel so bad.
Well, that's because the store decided to go ahead and err on the side of caution and throw that food away. I think personally they should have made her pay for it. But this goes back to the idiots that were licking ice cream. If you don't remember that, you just go back into 2019.
Yes, because
people licking ice cream, kind of doing the same thing. It's like, what are we doing? It's like, as a society, we're just going down the tubes, man.
Next one.
And before that was like people eating Tide Pods.
I really like that documentary, Idiocracy.
Yeah, basically. I do too. So anyway, kind of moving along from that particular news story, which I thought was pretty interesting, all based off a question that we got, right? And it rolled into the coronavirus hoax claims that 5G sparked Wuhan outbreak, which is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And kind of continuing with our theory of 5, here we go. The 5th victim has been victimated.
I'm amazed by this one, so I'll do this one. The Fenn treasure, the forest Fenn treasure, which we've talked about in previous podcast episodes. It's up someplace in northern New Mexico or Colorado.
Yeah, that's part of the thing. Nobody really, you don't really know for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there are hints and clues and stuff, and I'm actually behind on all my hints and clues.
Well, tell them what it actually is for people who don't know.
So, Forrest Fenn hid a small chest of coins, jewels, and valuable artifacts, and that's the other thing. It's anywhere from valuable artifacts to antiques to artworks.
Treasure.
Depending on where you read. He hid them somewhere in the Rockies in a place that was easy enough for a then 80-year-old Fenn to hide, but hard enough that no one has found it yet. And while Fenn denies this was his intent, hard enough that at least 5 people have now died trying. Now, I think we've actually reported on at least the first 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So this treasure has driven a lot of people mad. It's valued at $2 million. And there's been incidents like people trying to go into the state capital of New Mexico and trying to destroy a marble floor.
Yeah.
Or destroy a statue. So and there's been people who have gone missing. There's been people who have gone missing and have been found, and others who haven't.
Yeah.
But this time, someone else, let's see, I guess he was looking for the treasure.
Yeah, the people that were doing it, the gentlemen were a 58-year-old man from Deer Trail.
Oh.
And a 65-year-old from Thornton.
Yeah.
Right? And it says the local authorities knew both of them. And in February, the pair basically rented some snowmobiles and got stuck on the Colorado-Utah border and had to call 911.
Oh, this time
And in that time, they were both rescued within a day. And then it says this time, in other words, they went out again.
Yeah.
They left on March 19th for the Dinosaur National Monument, dressed for a short walk, not a deep woods snowmobile ride, no overnight gear, wearing jeans and light coats.
That's dumb.
So they weren't prepared. And it says the party who survived was dressed better. So they got lost, right?
Yeah.
It says after being lost for 2 days, a helicopter search team found the unnamed 65-year-old and the body of his companion.
Oh,
was identified as Michael Sexton.
Yeah.
And the survivor was taken to a hospital and released. And none of the local media reports indicate why the men were unprepared for more than a short day trip. And then it asked, did they find the location of the treasure on their last trip and were going back to pick it up? Or not? And what they actually had with them, right, were water bottles, candy bars, and a copy of Forrest Fenn's The Thrill of the Chase.
So, which is the book that contains these poetic clues to this treasure location. Begin where warm waters halt, and take it in the canyon down, but not too far to walk. Put in below the home of Brown. So it doesn't sound like they knew exactly where it was.
Right.
And my thing is, why would they go there? It's been already, I don't know. It's not supposed to be over there.
Yeah, well.
Dinosaur National Monument? Yeah. Because it's supposed to be more towards just Colorado and New Mexico.
Yeah.
From what I understand. And this is at, the Utah border. That doesn't sound right. So.
Yeah. And, this has been one of those things where it basically,
it's cost the state of New Mexico specifically, not necessarily Colorado. I don't know enough about Colorado, but it's cost the state of New Mexico thousands in search and rescue.
Well, sure.
To, deal with this particular treasure hunt. So far, Randy Belu, Jeff Murphy, Paris Wallace, Eric Ashby, and now Michael Sexton are the victims of this treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, so it's a thing. And Forrest Fenn, he, in an interview in 2015, he sounded like he wouldn't mind going to his own grave, right, with the treasure still hidden.
Yeah.
He quotes, there's a quote for him saying, "Someone could find it tomorrow and it may not be found for 1,000 years. I'm looking at the big picture."
I want to say it was
15.
Well,
when that was done. But.
Yeah, I want to say it was, 2018 when the Attorney General of New Mexico tried to threaten, or at least say, hey, we're tired of doing this.
Yeah, and he was like, so what?
Yeah.
And I kind of understand where he's coming from, because he's not making you go out and look for it. And if you go out and you're looking for treasure and you're unprepared and you succumb to the hunt and, die, is it really on him? No, it's not.
I know.
It's not. I mean, how is he going to be held responsible for it? I mean, that's the way treasure works. If you're looking for hidden treasure and there's risk involved, when you take up look at the curse of Oak Island, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. It's hidden treasure. It's not, it's not like he made traps or anything like that. He just he wrote a poem about it and put it out there, and people still haven't found it.
But this is almost a philosophical debate in the sense that, and it borders on entrapment and things like that, because, okay, somebody has put something that I need, $2 million, out there.
Okay, that's like saying, I'm hungry, I'm going to come take your bread.
No, because somebody else has that bread in their possession. He has released these goods.
Okay, so say I make bread and leave it out there, and you're walking to go get the bread and you fall and break your neck. Is that my fault? No. You don't have to go get it. I don't have to go looking for Finn's treasure. I can tell you this, I will never die looking for his treasure.
Oh.
Well,
I mean, I don't want you
to
die.
You heard it, everybody.
No.
Well, but to sit there and try to blame him, right?
Yeah.
Is silly. It goes back to taking your own responsibility and personal responsibility, right? But now, if you're going out there and you're deliberately causing people, to die in the quest of finding your treasure, because your treasure says, hey, step over here, take a leap of faith, and you'll find it, and you jump off a cliff.
You mean Indiana Jones style?
Yeah, and you fall off the cliff, or you jump and there's nothing there for you, and it was a deliberate. No. I mean, look, you don't have to look for it, and if you don't look for it, you probably won't die from looking for it.
A loaf of bread's not
to sit there and threaten
$2
him,
million.
but to sit there and threaten this guy, because he buried treasure, I mean, I would just say, all he has to say is prove it.
It was somebody in the New Mexico government basically said, this is enough. You've cost too many resources and you're causing people to get hurt.
And I would say, you know what? I haven't cost anybody anything. They've cost you resources. It goes again back to personal responsibility.
Okay.
And right now, especially in New Mexico is one of those states where it's, people are entitled to things. And so you have to take care of the people, whether they need taking care of or not. And it's true. We live there. And it's like, oh, wait a minute. The people can't be trusted to make their own healthy, smart decisions. So we need to make them for you is really what it boils down to. No. And, and if I was Fenn and, somebody came up to me and told me all that stuff, I'd say, first off, get off my lawn. And secondly, you don't have to look for it.
Oh, no.
And that would be like them saying, well, you need to disclose where the treasure is because we think it's public. I'd say, what treasure? Find it. I'm serious, man. You got to be responsible for your own thing. You don't have to go find it. You don't have to look for it.
I don't know. I would disagree.
No, you'd be wrong. This is America.
Because you're a loaf of bread scenario. I can go get another loaf of bread.
Well, you sure can. Now, what if you go get a loaf of bread during this Corona thing, and you catch Corona? Whose fault is that?
That one would be mine.
Okay. Well, it's the same thing if you go look for the treasure and you fall off a cliff and die. Whose fault is that? Again, it's yours because you fell off the cliff.
$2 million.
No, it doesn't matter.
Too many people.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's 2 loaves of bread or $2 million because you're going to have people that have gone to the store to buy supplies. They're going to catch corona, unfortunately, and pass away.
How many $2 million are out there to be found?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I mean, bread, I can go to Target.
If I'm starving,
or I can go to Walmart.
You can, but
or
what?
I can go
No,
make some myself.
now you're just splitting hairs. You're trying to put a value to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so what if it's a bottle of formula that you absolutely have to have? That might be worth $2 million. So you can't split hairs like that. You can't say, well, since one's only worth 89 cents and the other one is worth $2 million.
I buy the $2 bread.
Yeah, and that's just it, though. Okay, so the greater the wealth, right, the greater the risk.
Okay.
And if you decide, okay, it's $2 million, I'm going to take the risk. There you go.
But
it's on you. If you go out and you're not prepared and you die looking for treasure, that's your fault. That's no one else's fault but yours.
But that also, now that makes me think the other question, like the whole, okay, Oak Island, you have all those people who have spent like hundreds and thousands of dollars, or investors who have put money into finding that treasure.
Sure. And I think so far there, at least 4 or 5 people have died.
Yeah. But then this, all you technically need is common sense in a book. So it leads these people into thinking, oh.
No.
No,
can't say that because if all you need is common sense in a book, it would have been found already.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. And if people are overthinking it and killing themselves, well, there you go.
That's true. That's my biggest thing. I think they're overthinking it.
Yeah. Again, to go back to it, you don't have to look for it. If you don't look for it and you don't die, you win. If you look for it and you find it, you win. It's on you, man. Just blame him for it. Absolutely not. I mean, they could say that if it was proven that, he was maliciously, or the intent was that for nobody ever to find it and he didn't care about what happened to people, that'd be one thing. But he just put it out there and put a story out there, did a little poem. He put it out there and said, hey, you can find it. There you go. And that's it.
I don't know. I'd like to one day look for it.
Well, sure, you can look for it, but we're not going to go out there and prepare and die.
No.
Because at the end of the day, what are you going to do with that $2 million? Take it to your grave?
No.
Nope, you're going to die. With nothing.
I'm going to spend it on my lovely husband and my dog.
Not if you're deed.
Shut up.
So whose fault is it? It's the people that go out there and look for it. They were unprepared and they died. And they already had to be rescued once.
Yeah, that's the thing that I'm like, okay, you should have learned your lesson.
And they didn't. So really, whose fault is it? And I don't want you to think I'm not, sympathetic, because I'm not. I'm just saying, I mean,
well, there was
look, I don't want anybody to die, go out there looking for it, because I think it's kind of a foolhardy thing. But at the same time, what would we be saying if they got it? I'm like, whoa, they got the treasure. Yay, good for you. But hey, all these people have died because they weren't prepared.
Well, no, because there's that one guy who was prepared.
If you die, if you froze to death, you're not prepared.
Okay.
If you die from exposure to the elements, you're not prepared. Right?
But that goes into that whole...
Well, we've seen it, man. We lived in New Mexico, and the first year we were there, 7 people died from going off and not being prepared. And what did we do? Let's go ahead and put 40 gallons of water in the van and have enough food for 3 weeks.
Okay.
So there you go. There's your happy little treasure hunting story.
No, it's not happy.
Well, I know. It's an unfortunate thing, and, hey, they had to be rescued before, and it, has turned sour for them. So hopefully they won't be... having to rescue this same guy again. I don't know. So that's kind of scary. You know what else is kind of scary?
What?
This little article that came across from Sky Ships Over Cashiers.
Yeah.
About the new Men in Black.
New style Men in Black.
That's right.
Threaten whistleblower.
So this is a whistleblower is somebody who tells a story, right? And you can go to skyshipsovercashiers.com.
Yeah.
And we know the people that run this.
Yes.
Right? And this is a little story I thought was kind of interesting because let's kind of read this story to you. It says, a pair of persons appeared at my doorstep around 10 a.m. today. These these persons were a couple, maybe, like as in they were together with each other. I don't know.
Yeah.
They arrived in an old black pickup truck with no hubcaps, just old school crappy black rims. I didn't see them pull up, and the dog remained in the garage all the time they were there, which was odd. But dogs like to bark at everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Both persons wore black cargo pants with side leg pockets and a black T-shirt.
Okay.
Yeah, the male had a True Hardware logo on his shirt, and the other one had a Manfred Mann logo. These logos had an old look, but the shirts were brand new. Both wore a dark colored ball cap, and the old, these are kind of like trucker hats, right?
Yeah.
They have the tall foam interior, with odd embroidered logos with at least one Japanese kanji phrase each, as best as the person could tell. He said their faces were basically Caucasian. Both looked remarkably the same. They had no expressions, and they were overly stiff. They were the same height, and one did speak more femininely than the other, and did appear to have breasts. And neither seemed to breathe or express any emotion.
Okay.
And the person said, I might have picked up a single reed that both were in quite a bit of pain. It was a fleeting emotion that I picked up, and they may have been under duress to do this or not. I just don't know. I'm like, okay, and that's where it got kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
They expressed some thinly disguised threats, and the first one is that I was going to be reported if I did not comply. And then secondly, they said, I could not be protected in this atmosphere. It's kind of strange. And it says, in my best punk rocker attitude, I told them to F off, and neither acted like they heard me at that point. And my threat, which I will not expand upon here, was significant, and it should have elicited a response, but they went on, unaffected and unemotional. They mechanically seemed to give a memorized narrative, and they did not hear any response that I gave.
Yeah.
So the concerns that they expressed were that, one, is to no longer express that coronavirus is a product of the USA circa 2013, and China, two, that they wanted me to retract all the information that coronavirus is attacking 20 to 50-year-old males, which is one of the three demographics the virus was designed to target. And yes, they gave them all those specifics. So basically, they didn't want this person to say that the coronavirus is a product of the USA and China. And they wanted them to retract the information concerning coronaviruses attacking 20 to 50-year-old males. Right?
Yeah.
They repeated these demands at least 5 times each in slightly varying ways. And then the female one asked, do you have any questions or a statement to make on your behalf? Right?
Yeah.
And so the person asked if the Dominion sent them. And the female replied, the Dominion is unconcerned about this matter. And then the person asked who they worked for, and she replied, we are the Closet Sunrise. And then she said they will answer no more questions about it.
Okay.
And so the person asked if they were being singled out on it. The male replied, yes, only you. You're the only one who has made these facts clear. And then the person said, so you're saying this is true? And he replied, yes. And so he also asked him, so you do not care if I express that the coronavirus is a militarized, how you say that?
Militarized and weaponized disease.
Yes. And they replied that everyone already knows that.
Huh.
Yes. And so the guy told him, or the person told him, I'll do what I started out to do. And the male replied, I will relay your stated phrase. And then the female replied, we also relay that you understand that you are not protected in this affair. The protection you normally have is collapsed for this matter, and we are through here. And then the couple turned and walked back to the old black pickup truck, got in, drove away, and the person thought it was strange that there was no crank up or running, engine sounds at all. And basically, as they watched them, they drove out of the driveway, turned left, and then basically just a few feet disappeared. And then later, he said he saw an odd-looking bird flying around. Its wings never flapped, but it went up and down many times and landed in a tree and took off again. And he says, I'm sure this was nothing more than a drone. I watched it for at least 30 minutes, and it also left in a westerly direction. That's kind of weird, man.
It is, and I'm trying to make sense of it because from the original description, I'm like, okay, so now men in black are wearing cargo pants and expensive vintage tees bought off Etsy or something, Because I did look up the Manfred Mann shirt.
Right.
Average price for a decent old school Manfred Mann t-shirt is about anywhere from $18 to $32 for an old t-shirt from that band. The black one goes for $29.99.
Well.
Yeah. Now, to take it a step further, Closet Sunrise, there's a couple of different thrift shops named that in Florida, and at least one of them has band t-shirts.
Well,
those are the only connections I can make so far.
If they're a secret organization, they may not necessarily be on the internet.
That's true. So,
my thought is that this reminds me a lot of what if the government is doing the sort of, subcontracting like they do at Area 51 and things like that, where they're just hiring, specialists, basically security guards.
So
what if these men in black are basically contractors?
So these are the Paul Bart Mall Cop men in black?
I don't know.
What if?
But I thought it was kind of weird.
I thought of something else, though, because one of the things that's conveyed in this article is the just blanket emotionless tone. Yeah. And you'd figure, okay, the description, okay, these are a bunch of punks in a truck, right? You'd figure you'd elicit some sort of emotional reaction or response.
Right.
But they were completely unaffected. That's repeated several times in this account. What if it's mind control?
Or what if they're highly trained ex-military and they don't really care at all what you think, and they're going to make sure that you understand the message you're trying to give out?
I would expect a tiny bit of violence.
Maybe not.
Okay.
I mean, if they're highly trained and they're still in the military, they're not going to basically jump out there with a bunch of violence.
Okay. Why?
Because what happens if they jump out there with a bunch of violence and it causes an issue? Then they're going to get in trouble for it.
Why the vehicle, though? Why the
old black Chevy pickup truck?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, military bases have older vehicles. When I was growing up on a military base, the Chevy truck was popular. Doesn't matter. Okay. What if they actually came from a deep underground military base somewhere in North Carolina or wherever this is? We don't really even know where this is. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of weird, man. If this is like a new style Men in Black, we think of the Men in Black being a traditional black suit, white shirt, black tie, dark glasses, and a hat kind of thing. What if this is the new sort of thing? Because if this is a new sort of Men in Black experience, how many people have experienced roughly the same thing from the same sort of contractor style person and not thought about it or reported it as being a Men in Black?
I also wonder, is that like the common outfit for people in this whistleblower's area? Like maybe if we go in unassuming looking, nobody will know or nobody will believe,
Or maybe they don't care. It's just common dress, cargo pants, black T-shirt.
Okay. Yeah.
Because we have heard of some stories where, like, for example, one person was in an area that experienced what they thought was a Bigfoot. And when they were leaving, there was a truck sitting there with people wearing cargo pants and combat boots and a black T-shirt style, like, sort of military, but not really military gear,
Oh, I was
like
thinking,
special operator type stuff.
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking the whole blending in thing. And wouldn't that be messed up if, like, the new Men in Black kind of blend in with the regional attire?
Well, I mean,
could you imagine?
It would make sense because, I mean, if you think about it like this, though, I mean, a lot of people, I'm wearing a pair of, like, tactical style pants right now.
Yeah, but...
and so...
Here where we live, it would be like somebody wearing, like, fluorescent leggings from Walmart.
No. Don't be silly, all right? Where we live, it would be camouflage. How many people do you see wearing camouflage T-shirts right now whenever you go to the store?
That's true. But I was talking about the lady Men in Black in this. Well,
I mean, not if you're, going hunting.
Okay.
Right? And we see, I mean, if these people are military or ex-military or they're currently employed by the military, they're not going to dress in a way that draws too much attention to them. Black pants, black shirt, ball cap.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of weird, but it was weird. They talk about the drone and the bird just flies weird.
That's interesting.
Like flapping its wings, but not really flying that way. It's just kind of like an odd looking bird flying around. Its wings never flapped, but it went up and down many times and landed in a tree and took off again. Kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I thought that was kind of strange. The new style Men in Black. It's like, what's going on with that? No idea. So kind of weird. So here's a little something for you, and we'll talk about. This is probably not real.
Okay.
Because Snopes says it's not real.
Okay.
And it would be effective. I almost don't even want to talk about it.
Why not?
Because it's kind of one of those things where it's just silly, but you kind of wouldn't put it past them. So I don't know. Okay, so it kind of goes like this. Did Russia release 500 lions to enforce the COVID-19 lockdown? So in March 2020, several cities around the world had issued orders for people to shelter in place and practice social distancing in an attempt to stop the spread of COVID-19. So despite these orders, many locales saw people gathering at beaches and religious events, and that's left the officials in a bit of a conundrum. How do you make sure a population obeys a self-quarantine order?
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So according to an internet rumor, right? Russia solved the problem by releasing 500 lions.
First off.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
When I first seen this, I'm like, sounds legit. Right? Because, it's like Russia. I'm like, I can see that, right? And so obviously, since Snopes checked into this and did a little fact checking, this is false.
Oh.
But you got to admit, the first time, if you read that, did Russia release 500 lions to enforce a COVID-19 lockdown? You're like, I can see it.
I see. I didn't see 500. I saw some strange number like 20, and I was like, okay.
Well,
yeah.
There's a video that says, breaking news, Russia unleashed more than 500 lions on its streets to ensure that people are staying indoors during this pandemic outbreak.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to click it. Right? And it took me to Snopes, and Snopes says, no, this is not true. And basically, the displayed image above, anyway, with the real breaking news alert, is not real. It does feature a real image of a lion roaming a public street. Mm-hmm. And that image comes from an incident in 2016 where a large lion was spotted roaming the streets in Johannesburg, South Africa.
Oh.
From 2016.
Okay.
Yeah. But when I seen that, I'm like, I could totally see Russia doing it. Right? So, not true. Kind of exciting, though, because if you, if you're like, hey, I'm going to need everybody to self-quarantine. Oh, and by the way, I've released 500 lions. I'm staying in. Yeah. Because, if I'm going out hunting for that treasure and I get chewed up by a lion, whose fault is it?
Oh.
See, yeah, where's your conundrum now, right?
Well, because there are some real articles, and I think it was something like the deer in Japan at that one park that you can go and look at cherry blossoms.
Yeah, and you bow to them and stuff like that.
The deer are now wandering like the suburb streets.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's no more visitors to feed them food. And
That's like, remember the gang of monkeys, like the roaming gang of monkeys and stuff? Yeah. Because we were going to talk about that. We were going to do that in one of our podcasts where we talk about these poor animals that are used to being fed by tourists and stuff, like eating French fries, like seagulls. Yeah. Or like swooping down on people leaving grocery stores because they want those French fries and stuff. They want that food, and it's not there anymore, Yeah. And, also about some of the areas being reclaimed by the wildlife because there's no populace, no populace out there walking around, and, how things are getting better. Yeah. Pollution and stuff like that. But when I seen this article, I'm like, I got to click on this and see if it's real or not.
And then I think, like, my friend Richard shared on Facebook that the wild pigs in New Mexico.
Yeah. What are they? Javelinas?
Javelinas, yeah. They're roaming Las Cruces, like real pictures.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's like one running down the street, because there's, people hunt that. And I don't think people realize that, when you have animals and stuff like that that are normally sort of controlled through, structured and responsible hunting, if you can't go out and hunt, you can't do that sort of thing, their population is going to, boom. Like I can see the coyote population getting larger, the deer population getting larger. Yeah. Javelinas or wild boar or pigs. Yeah. And 500 lions cruising the streets in Russia.
See, not five. I don't even think there's 500 lions in captivity in the world.
It's Russia, man. They can get 500 lions. I'm sure there's more than 500 in the world. Otherwise, they'd be endangered, wouldn't they? Yeah. So I thought that was kind of crazy. Yeah. Not true. But kind of wish it was true, but it's not true because that would just be some crazy. Like, what?
Like that would be the ultimate meanwhile in Russia.
Yeah. You're complaining about toilet paper and you got people peeking out the windows because there's 500 lions running around.
Yeah. So
I mean, how would they catch them when they're done with them?
I don't know.
Yeah.
That would be a good.
Like, who would you call?
I don't know.
Okay, so it's over with. Come get the lions. I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry. I can't help you.
Oh, okay. I was wrong. So apparently there's an estimated 7,000 to 14,000 lions held in captivity and bred just in South Africa.
There you go. Let them out.
Oh, okay.
So imagine catching that phone call. Hey, how many lions do you have? Oh, I got about 6 or 7. We need 3 lions. Like, for what? Don't ask. And it's like, okay. So, yeah, kind of a thing. And I thought that was kind of crazy. And then that sort of led me to this last article we'll talk about. And this is something I seen a while ago, and it keeps popping up. So I figured I got to talk about it because it keeps popping up.
Oh, I'm having people send me this one.
Yeah, it's been sent to us this was way back in March, like the beginning of March 6th.
Yeah.
And this is some people living in a small town of San Antonio La Esperanza, Mexico.
Oh, no, this was sent to me when you were still in the hospital.
Right, that's
so
what I'm saying. I've seen it over and over again.
Yeah, in like February.
Yeah, well, yeah, but this article is from March because this is where I've seen it popping up again. Where in this little town of San Antonio La Esperanza in Mexico, the people there were creeped out when a human-sized ventriloquist doll wrapped in a blanket was found in a river.
Yeah.
And it was so real-looking that the villagers believed it was a dead human body. And, you know, it made it even more freaked out when they figured out that it was a ventriloquist doll.
Oh, yeah.
You know, not that it was a body. I mean, that's pretty scary. But this, you know, it was even more creepy that it was a ventriloquist doll. They tried to burn it. And it wouldn't burn.
Smart. Yeah.
So this ventriloquist doll, they call it cursed, okay? If you try to burn it and it doesn't burn, it's cursed.
Yeah.
So after numerous attempts, they were finally able to burn the doll. And according to a local journalist named Cesar, the reason why it took so many times to successfully burn the doll was because it was damp from being in the river. So it probably wasn't cursed.
Oh.
Are you going to take any chances? If I'm trying to set this ventriloquist doll thing on fire and it's not burning,
but see,
I'm like, you know what? It's cursed.
That's the worst thing you can do with a cursed object.
Hey.
According to like paranormal experts that do a lot more research than we do, we're not supposed to set cursed items on fire.
Well.
So, because it also means if you set it on fire, that means there's going to be a crappy sequel where it comes back from the fire and gets everybody.
Well, that journalist,
yeah,
right, with the nickname Oxlack Investigator, found the man who created the ventriloquist doll and spoke to him. The man named Julio unfortunately couldn't remember who he sold the doll to, but he did provide an interesting piece of information by stating that he used an epoxy resin when he made the doll, making it hard to burn.
Oh.
So whether it was cursed or not, it still captured the attention of Oscar-winning film director Guillermo del Toro, who retweeted pictures of the creepy ventriloquist doll. And there's even a video of the doll which shows it lying on the ground with one blue eye open and the other one burned out.
Oh, that's horrible.
Okay, let's go back. We're talking about like the doll and not being able to be burned and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Why was it wrapped up like a human body and thrown in the river in the first freaking place?
It literally looks like it was wrapped, not just like a human body, because unfortunately in the Southwest and other places, things aren't wrapped very well when they're disposed of. This almost looks like it was ceremonially wrapped.
And see, that's my point, though. It's like, okay, if you bought the doll and you had it, and you know, if you didn't like it, you could just give it away or sell it.
Yeah.
No, they tried to kill this thing. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, and that just tells me right there that, hey, I don't care what they say, it's cursed.
Okay.
Because we've done that. You play with stuff and like, you know what, let's go ahead and donate it. Or, hey, I don't like it, let's throw it away. Or, hey, let's sell it.
Yeah.
Nope. They're going to wrap this thing up and throw it in the river.
The Rio Grande, no less.
Is that what it says?
Yeah. So if you go and find one of the original tweets, and this is where the misinformation comes in a little bit on this. This was found in the Rio Grande River in Tamaulipas, which is northern Mexico.
Okay.
So from here, where it was done in Spanish, this got turned into several Facebook posts. It got retweeted and Facebooked with different descriptions and different captions.
Yeah.
Which is why I have had 5 different people that we know in New Mexico
keep sending it to us with different information. I had one person say it was found at the El Paso border. Yeah.
I've had somebody say, "Hey, this just happened in Four Corners." I've had, this just got found in where is it? Las Cruces, and someplace outside of Las Cruces.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like, no. The first time I've seen, thanks for sharing first.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Second, no, I got told this was found at the border, you know.
Either way, man, they burned that thing because they thought it was cursed.
But that caused some very religious and superstitious people that we know in New Mexico to freak out and go try to bless the Rio Grande, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know. Thought it was kind of nutty. But, I mean, I've seen it keep popping up, like, just for me looking at stuff. And,
I want to know what has happened to it since it couldn't get set on fire, or it took forever. Did it finally burn up all the way?
I guess once they got it dried out, they got it burning pretty good.
Okay.
I don't know. Kind of crazy. Well, why did they wrap it up and throw it in the river?
I don't know.
Because it's cursed. That's why.
Yeah.
I don't care what they say. So, yeah. I mean, if I seen something like that, I would probably just call the police and drive away. Like, yeah, pretty sure they're seeing it. I mean, who wants to go to, because, okay, imagine what an inconvenience that would be. You're out there cruising by the river, and there's a body. You're like, oh, man, I'm going to have to be here all day.
Yeah.
Answer silly questions and stuff like that. I don't know. You never know how you'd react in a situation like that. But, I mean, if it looked like it was a life-size ventriloquist doll wrapped up in from all the stupid crap we watch on TV, there's no way I'm playing with that thing or touching it.
Yeah.
It's just bad enough, I couldn't even imagine. So, and plus, ventriloquist dolls are creepy as hell anyway. Just all the way around. So are clowns.
I don't like dolls.
Exactly.
And
you know why? Because they're just creepy, man. And some people are like, oh, nope.
Nope.
Not this guy.
Do not like baby dolls. And
Nope.
ventriloquist dolls are even worse for me.
Yeah. And so, okay, we're about to wrap up the podcast because we've been talking for a little while. And, during the whole quarantine thing that's going on, the self-imposed quarantine and social distancing and everything else, people are doing all sorts of stuff. They're cutting the grass or, trying to walk the dogs. They're just trying to keep occupied. People are trying to homeschool their kids because kids are out of school in a lot of places now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things that you can do to probably pass the time, if you like paranormal and 4TN or 4DN, depending on how you want to say it, all that kind of stuff, is you can watch movies, man. You can get caught up and you can watch movies. You can watch television shows. You can basically get all sort of schooled up and get knowledgeable in everything that we talk about on a podcast because you have time.
Yeah.
You can listen to audiobooks. In the very beginning of the podcast, we actually played, our little commercial where you can get free audiobooks to listen to. But one of the things that hit me is like, hey, Amazon and Amazon Prime and Prime Video, there are a ton of little movies that you can watch that are good.
Yeah.
And we like them, and we've pretty much watched them all. A couple of them we've watched them more than once, and they're done by Small Town Monsters with Seth Breedlove.
Yeah.
And it's more than just Seth Breedlove. I mean, there's a crew of people that are involved in Small Town Monsters, right?
Yeah.
And what I found is if you search on Amazon Prime, if you search for Seth Breedlove, right, / or even just space Small Town Monsters, you'll come up with a ton of these movies that you can watch, most of which are for free. There are some that you have to pay for, including the new series On the Trail of UFOs.
Yeah.
Right? So we put links in our show notes because everything we talk about in our show notes, we have links to, and we did put links to Amazon.com where you can go and you can find a ton of these movies, like The Beast of Whitehall, right?
Yeah.
On the Trail of Bigfoot. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Momo the Missouri Monster. I like that one too. Basically, On the Trail of Bigfoot, The Search, because you see On the Trail series, like On the Trail of Bigfoot, it's a series. There's more than one. Terror in the Skies. We're talking about like Mothman, Winged Demon, Thunderbirds, and all that stuff. That was one of my favorites. I like that one too. There's even a Small Town Monsters Case Files. There's just a bunch of beasts of the Bray Road Beast.
Yeah.
What else? Boggy Creek Monster.
Yeah.
Huh?
Momo. I'm trying to go through them.
There's a ton of them, right?
Yeah.
Invasion of Chestnut Ridge.
Yeah, but
I mean, it just keeps going. The point is that most of these are for free, and you can kind of see them and watch them. And why not, man? Minerva Monster, which is one of my favorites. I like that one. It's in there. And it's coming. The Bell Witch is coming.
Yeah, but on the
Flatwoods Monster is there.
On the Trail of UFOs, it's a great documentary series. I like the different people that they've.
That's the new series, is On the Trail of UFOs, and that's totally worth watching.
And the guests or the researchers that they interview, they're people you want to hear from.
Yeah.
Or people you didn't even know about, like that woman for the Phoenix Lights.
Yeah.
Whose experience the week before sounds very similar to one of our listeners who he had a similar experience out there in Phoenix.
Yes.
Yeah, the week before.
Yep.
And then the Brown Mountain Lights.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
Now, if you're not going to watch stuff, even though you probably should go binge on Amazon, you can buy some books and do some other research, including Shannon LeGros. She came out with Beyond the Fray, Bigfoot.
Yep.
We've got a link to that in the show notes. If you have Kindle, then that's definitely worth a download. Otherwise, we've got a link to the paperback book as well.
Yeah, and On the Trail of UFO series, there's a whole bunch of episodes. There's like 8 of them.
Yeah.
You have like UFO people, which is the first episode. The Changing Face, the second episode. The Places You Will Go, which is the third episode. The Tricksters, right?
Yeah.
The Stuff They Don't Want You to Know. Let It Shine, which is my favorite because it's at Brown Mountain in North Carolina, right? Where they talk about the Brown Mountain Lights. And, you know, it's entirely possible that people that you may be listening to right now are actually in that one. Dun, dun, dun. But, I mean, yeah, it's I like them because they're all good. They're all, you know, about 30 minutes long, and they're just, I like the series. I like the movies that they make. I like the movies that Seth Breedlove makes with Small Town Monsters and the guests that come on and are part of it, like Shannon LeGros and what's his face? You don't remember? Lyle Blackburn. Actually, there's a lot of famous people that have been in these.
Ryan Sprague is in On the Trail.
Is that how you say his name, Sprague?
That's how I say it, because I went to school with a Micah Sprague.
Well, maybe it's Sprague.
It could be, but that's how, when I went to school, that's how that dude named or pronounced his name.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of famous people in these too. Like Bobo was in there, and Cliff Barackman was in there.
Well, they're in Momo. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, there's a lot of famous people, right, that are in these movies. Okay. Is what I was trying to say. I believe Meldrum's in there too. I think so. Anyway, there's a bunch of people. So if you want to watch them, we've included some links, and most of them are free. There are some that you have to pay for, but if you're looking for 4TN UFO monster type stuff, like cryptid type stuff, these are good to watch. They're on Amazon, and why not watch them? If you do watch, leave a review.
Please.
Yeah, it helps.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't help us. It helps them, but I think it's worth the effort. So, I don't know.
If you see something in On the Trail of UFOs, the Brown Mountain Lights episode, and you want to reach out, please do. We'd love to hear from you, especially if you've had your own Brown Mountain Lights experience.
Yeah. And if you see us in there, say hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I thought it was kind of cool. And since they're all there, you know, I was checking them out. I was like, wow, because we've seen that before where not every one of them was there, but now it seems like all of them are there.
Yeah. Well,
and you can also go to smalltownmonsters.com.
There was some Amazon problems for not just Small Town Monsters, but everybody this month has been having some issues. So yeah, I hope everybody gets that worked out.
Yeah, I like the posters too. So I mean, the images they use for the episode posters are pretty neat. So anyway, there you go. Give you something to listen to. So if you're in self-quarantine and you're looking for stuff to binge on, totally worth binging on these for sure.
Yeah. And if you want more to listen to, over on our Patreon, we have more. Yeah.
If you didn't know we have a Patreon, guess what?
We do.
We have a Patreon where we have all sorts of content and things that you have not seen.
And sometime during this weekend, we're going to come out with our Patreon Plus episode. That's going to include more COVID-19 updates.
Yeah, because our next Patreon Plus episode is called COVID-19 Updates, Celebrity Haunts, Rescue Checks, and Waffle House Closes.
Which I can't wait to put my tinfoil hat on for you guys.
Yeah.
On the
Patreon and we have videos that you won't see anywhere else. We have all sorts of additional content. And plus the content that we have over there, we've decided that we could be more adult-oriented. Mm. So if you want to hear a cuss word or two,
I don't know. I mean,
you can.
Our podcast has been going for a couple years now.
Yes.
And despite me talking in general with people and how much of a potty mouth I am with those people, when it comes to the podcast, I'm trying to keep it PG.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
So I may just say poop, even on the Plus edition.
Well, there you go. And that's certainly your option. But, if you want to check out Patreon, we have a link to it. So if you go to patreon.com/CreepGeeks, you'll find our stuff there. And if you want to join, you can. We have really low tiers, if you want to support that way. If you don't want to support through Patreon, we do have free stuff for you to check out as well. And basically, since, this pandemic has put a real hindrance on things out there, if there's other people and other entities out there that you'd like to support, check it out. They may have a Patreon too. You might be able to help them out a little bit.
Yeah.
So, but if you want to support us passively, if you're into that sort of thing, you can do that. We actually have a link because we have an Amazon page, because we have Amazon affiliate links, and you can kind of click that and buy something off Amazon. We get a small percentage. Doesn't change your price at all. And it helps keep gas flowing and coffee in our Albino Rhino.
Yeah. That Amazon affiliate link is in the show notes, but it's amazon.com/shop/CheapGeek.
Yeah. Very nice. But, that's about all I got to say.
Okay.
Kind of rolled through this podcast relatively quickly because we have a lot to talk about. Because we've decided that during this self-imposed quarantine, we have lots of things that we're going to talk about, so why not just put them up?
Okay.
We have lots of stuff that we're going to be putting out. So anyway, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. But we've enjoyed having you with us and listening to us. So we'll see you next time. So thanks for listening. So see you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.